I will say, though, in your comments, I think it's important for the community, and maybe those of you council who don't remember, that we were sued over Proposition 218 on the transfer of the water fund. And when we went into that lawsuit, it was because the voters of Burbank had amended the charter to permit a 5% in lieu of taxes transfer from the water fund to the general fund. We were nonetheless sued on that basis by individuals who said that was an illegal transfer. And as part of the council discussion of settlement on that transfer, because we decided not to push ahead with it, we decided that we would, as a council, agree to a settlement. That the agreement was the court agreed with the amount of money that we identified as being directly attributable to our general fund services. And it's not the purchase of right-of-way, I think, Councilmember Gordon. It was more the staff time required from Public Works to do certain things. It may have been opening the streets. I'm sure the city attorney or Mrs. Tiefer can provide me with something more specific. But it was important that the court agreed to those charges. And I think those charges were about $600,000. I could be wrong. When we began this budget year, we were looking at a failure of, or a complete return of about $1.2 million, I believe, to the water fund rather than in the general fund. And when we finally resolved it out with the court, I believe that the preliminary figure that our staff was working on was approximately $600,000 of BWP ratepayer money could be attributed to the city staff work on the streets and in the public right-of-ways, and therefore was a reasonable, there was a nexus between that staff work and the amount charged back to the utility. So I think that that gets to the approximate $600,000 that the council member is speaking about. This year, and we have a member of the board from BWP who could probably speak to this in greater detail, but when the rates were discussed, the amount that's no longer transferred was brought into that discussion and equation. So there has been a very good balance, but it wasn't as a result of any kind of mismanagement on the part of our utility or our staff or turning our backs on ratepayers. It was a result of our charter mandated 5% transfer that was challenged and ultimately resolved. So that's where we are today. I bring it up because I remember last year when we started this discussion, there were in fact 3 votes not to raise any of the rates. To raise nothing on the utility, nothing on our sewer transfer and our sewer and solid waste fees. And when the city manager came back to us, we had a general fund deficit of $7.5 million. Having said that, I'd like to ask Councilmember Gordon, who's not going to vote for these rates and has not, at least in the 4 years I've served on city council, ever voted for a rate increase, what your alternative is to what's before us tonight. I think that the staff has done a very credible job of digging deeply and identifying the reasons that we asked for these rate increases. But I think your alternative to these increases, especially the effect that they have on our general fund and had last year, would be something that we would all like, or at least I would like to hear.
Well, we're talking about the water fund?
I'm talking about all the fees and funds that, in my experience, council member, you have not voted for in the 4 years I've been on city council. And so I'm asking for your alternative to all of those fees.